right, welcome back to the Personal Health Care Phone Talk Show. I'm your host, Clint Fuquay, the health engineer. And today, I've been trying to wrangle this woman in forever to get her on my show, on the past shows and everything else. She's way too busy. She's really incredibly busy. Like, I even walked into her walking out today going, I have calls. But we got her back in here. So, Dr. Deborah Bain, I'm going to show off the book right quick. Because I'm going to show this off later, but you got to get this book, people. How are you?
I'm good. It's been quite the day already.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Great to see you, though.
You too. You too. So, for everybody out there, if you don't know, we're actually both a part of Functional Health Network, which has a lot of great practitioners in it. We got a huge event that we do every year. But you've been growing a lot. The last couple of years, because I mean, this place is awesome. She has her entire wing of a medical office now. Actually, on an entire medical building next to a hospital. So for everybody out there, yes, highly medical. With her magic black book, we're going to talk about in a second. So I want to give everybody a little background on you, because your story, just your story alone, not just all the kids you work with and everything else, is phenomenal.
Right. So, in my 30s, I had 9 neck and back surgeries. And then at 39, I ended up with breast cancer. I had a stage 3B cancer I was supposed to die from. I had chemotherapy and radiation. I was a hot mess back then, and I actually just couldn't do life. I had to take a leave of absence for 3 months from the previous place I worked, and I got well. I found my chiropractors. I found my holistic integrative network of people, nutritionists. I did all of that, and I got well. But then I was angry at the system because just for the obvious, right? They're supposed to help fix, and instead they created the problems. So I got angry, but then I made a difference. So I left the company that I used to work for, and I started dreaming about the perfect medical office that could raise the healthiest kids possible and give them the best chance that to be well, not just to be Band-Aid fixed. Procedure after procedure, cutting things out, fusing things, that was my life in my 30s. And so I opened Healthy Kids at the tail end of my radiation treatment, and I haven't looked back. I've been doing integrative medicine for 20 years. God led me here, honestly, to preach a different message and to be bold. And I wrote the book, How the Chiropractor Saved My Life, My Journey to Wellness and Beyond. That was my awful, brutal things that happened to me. But at the tail end of that book, it talked about how I opened Healthy Kids. And it was just so simple, like good stuff in, bad stuff out. A simple model. That was even before I got functional medicine certified by the IFM. That was before I got integrative medicine board certified. That was before I got homeopathy certified. I did all of that because I kept searching for different tools to get people well. I feel like I've accomplished an amazing integrative holistic pediatrician office. I have raised up many, many nurse practitioners in the Metroplex that now has created a statement to say we are not going to put up with a model that's making our kids even sicker, going to more specialists, doing more drugs, doing more procedures. I see brand new autistic kids in my practice every single day. I have eczema kids in my practice every day. Autoimmune. What else? So many chronic diseases. This book right here, this is my big black book.
You basically deal with all this stuff that no doctor, no hospital, no pediatrician really wants to deal with because they don't really know how to or have the tools to do it. It's kind of one of the biggies.
And it just seems like what I see all the time is these kids come in having already been to 3 different specialists, and they're sick of it. They don't want to do that topical steroid that now they're dependent on. They don't want to do these newfangled drugs. It's just like, well, we don't know what to do with you, so here's your Band-Aid fix for your eczema. And then they'll send them to the GI doctor. And then they'll send them to an endocrinologist because you're short or something.
Okay.
But they don't manage from like up here in the realm of I'm the super specialist per se. I'm looking at all of the integrative things. They created that sick immune system. And then one of the handouts that I give kids all the time, parents all the time, is called the Cycle of Illness and the 7 Arts of Healing. And that's based on all my training. But I actually put it in the book. So for people who really want to see, that's my kid in the book. That's my autistic kid. That's my exhibit kid. They're going to look at that and say, I relate to that story. And it's a hero's journey book. But if they can relate to a story in there, and I have people who have bought the book out of state, has mom bought the book. She didn't even know me. She didn't know about my practice, but she found it on Amazon, and she said, that's how she found me. So it's getting to where it needs to go.
Yeah. So, and that's really why I wanted to bring you on the show, because right now the big topic everywhere is health, is kids health, ADHD, autism. Why? All the whys. Why is this happening? Why are we not like 1 in 33 is what they're looking at right now coming up for kids being born now. It's like 1 in 33 is going to have some sort of autism, right? So that's why I wanted to bring you on, because of that whole thing. The issue with should kids have vaccines? What should they have? When should they have it? All that stuff. Of course, there's huge studies coming out. There's a big movie that just came out, an inconvenient study done by Del Bigtree and his group. That one just released, and then Dr. McCullough, he just had a huge cohort study put together, run through AI, that came back with essentially pointing to what main issue causes are for autism, ADHD, stuff like that. And it's a big one. It's big in the, if you're in on this side of everything, I know you've seen it, everybody else is looking at going, but it's all there. Taking every study, compiling all of them together, here's what we're coming up with. So, and what we're coming up with, they need to be seeing pediatricians like you, because the kids today are, I hate to say it, from like when we were growing up, we didn't have any of this. There was much less of it.
Right. Well, but then again, I'm putting out the obvious. The C-section rate,
Oh, it's way up.
It is way up. The antibiotic exposures, the over-chemicalization of children has gone up. So it's not a one thing to point to.
Oh, yeah. It's a multifactorial thing.
Right.
The Twinkies we had, actually, the Twinkies are still the same. The Oreos we had are not the same Oreos they're having now. I have a safe way of approaching the vaccine issue. Yeah.
At the end of the day, vaccines are drugs. At the end of the day, you can react to anything that you inhale, like anesthesia, anything you put in your mouth. That can be any kind of medication. There's side effects to all these things, right? Anything that you put on your skin, whether that's chlorinated swimming pools, or whether that's the detergents that you have, or whether it's topical steroids, whatever it is, or anything you inject.
Yeah, especially kids, because they're way more reactive.
And per meter square body weight, you're getting, that same DTaP is going into a 5-year-old is going into your 2-month-old, whether you were next preemie, and you're 8 pounds at 2 months because you were micro preemie, or whether you're 5 years old. Now, if you then add, we're going to do 9 whole things all at the same time to your kid and inject all of that, the aluminum content or the whatever extra ingredient that's in there can have a bigger impact on a tiny body. Now, there's a study that I have in the book it basically showed that the post-COVID vaccine catch-up schedule exceeded the safe amount of aluminum by 72% of the time. Okay, so that same study, and that same study appeared in my pediatric news brief magazine that every pediatrician gets every month. And on the front page, fact checkers said that article was wrong. And it said aluminum has nothing to do with anything. And I think that was an opinion statement, a very influential opinion statement, but where's the facts behind it with every one of these research articles that I looked at? Because there's research and it is cited in my book, not overbearingly, but just pointing out some real obvious things. Like, does it make any sense? It certainly didn't to me. And all I'm doing is telling stories in the book, and I'm just getting people to think. Does this make common sense? Any sense? Is your mommy radar going off to say, I don't think that this is a good idea? Why are we giving the hepatitis B vaccine for children that are just born? That the mom spent her whole pregnancy doing all the things right, doing all the supplements, eating a healthy diet, and the first thing that they want to do in the first 30 minutes of life is inject your baby with a potential thing that can cause harm.
Yeah, and has no need of use because
it makes no sense. And they're basically telling the parent that the mom had the labs that shows there's no hepatitis B, and then it's like the doctor's calling the mom a liar to say, well, you could still have a false negative. And so we're going to inject your baby because we can't trust that you don't have hepatitis. If they're not living a double lifestyle in some promiscuous kind of way, what are we doing? It's not like it's no prenatal care here, right?
So I had Katrina on with me. Actually, her show was right before yours. Right?
Okay, sure.
So, one thing I wanted to talk with you about is for parents, for moms, we're going through the birthing process. They're doing everything they're supposed to be doing. One, what do they need to be doing from a nutritional standpoint? Because that's a huge one right there for the moms.
Sure.
Going through the pregnancy, up to the time of birth, and then after, it's like, okay, now it's time we're going to start doing all the vaccines. Like, how do they approach that with their doctor? Because that's a biggie right there. Like, I'm a pediatrician. It took forever to get in. We finally found a good one. They want to do this. We're not sure about what we should do. How do they approach that with their pediatrician and say, how do we look at this schedule and maybe what should we be doing? And
okay, so if you don't have a doctor who's willing to agree to a true informed consent and body autonomy, I honestly would tell that pediatrician that you're not worthy to take care of my kid. Because you can't continue to make somebody comply with injecting drugs into your body. You cannot inject health.
Nope.
But you can, as the parent, say that you're going to have a C-section birth, then definitely make sure that the mom's taking probiotics during the whole pregnancy. If you, we certainly do probiotics for the babies if we need to. If there's mastitis, certainly we have protocols for that. But it's all about the gut flora because the gut flora is the baby's flora. And if they're C-section and they're born in that sterile field, they're giving the mom antibiotics. And, there's a disconnect there.
The kid doesn't get all the good probiotics that it's supposed to be getting, especially with vaginal birth, because you miss out on a lot.
But there are progressive OBs that actually swab the vaginal flora and then swab the baby's face to make to have some kind of semblance of a vaginal birth. So that is cool. Parents can request that, but just you have to have a open-minded doctor. And so many families that I have talked to, they've had 15 phone calls from, to other doctors' offices that basically their response on the phone was, if they hear any hesitancy about vaccines or the parent brings it up, they say, we're not a good fit for you. We're not going to see your child. Or they're firing the parents, firing the child from the practice if they don't comply with their standard vaccine schedule. I don't feel like that's right when the vaccine schedule is ever expanding.
Oh, yeah.
There's apparently, I have heard that they want by 2030, 300.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I've seen the proposed schedules.
It's nuts.
It's nuts. When we used to have, I was born
6 or 8.
Yeah, I was born
total.
77. We had like 8, and none of them like right. At the
But
point
that was
of birth.
between
Like,
2
was,
and 6 years of age.
Yeah, yeah.
Not starting at birth.
There's nothing like
For
that
sure.
first 18, 24 months. There's nothing.
Right.
If you got money,
But did we
you got the
create-
good stuff.
But did we create any healthier kids from that aggressive schedule? And the answer is no, because the chronic diseases in kids has gone up anywhere from 200 to 400%.
Oh, it's my clients all have kids with something. All of them have kids that are dealing with some sort of thing. So, which is why I send people to you.
But I can tell you, in my practice, I have 2 sets of realities here. One are all the new functional medicine kids that come into my practice that basically say, fix my broken kid, right? And they have the laundry list of things that they are dealing with. And then I do a functional medicine approach, getting to the root cause, finding out their nutrient deficiencies, finding out their toxic overload, finding out their food sensitivities. But then I also have the others like that are beautiful new babies, untainted, breastfed, doing all the things right. And those are my healthiest kiddos. And we have families, and I am not an anti-vaxxer. You know, I don't want anyone to think that. I'm a anti-out of order. I'm a pro-choice. I'm a true informed consent, and I want people to educate. So, and there's a right way to do it. Certainly people can spread out a vaccine schedule. I also carry homeopathic immunizations in my office and talk about it in the book as well. There's got to be a viable alternative. In other countries, they're doing the homeopathy, not injecting.
It's looking at what's best for the kid.
Right.
Specifically, like.
And the genetics, you know, autoimmune history in the family, you know.
Yeah. As this kid's growing up, what are they most likely to be affected by? At what age? And at what age? Right. And you start from there and just kind of like, okay, here's the schedule for this kid right here. This is their schedule. So a custom schedule which can work for families. And I have a lot that say, nope, we're not doing any, but we're respecting that choice. Yeah. And slowing down the schedule, you know, what I don't think that makes sense, right, is if you have to do a Prevnar at 2, 4, and 6 months and a booster between, say, 12 and 18 months. Okay, but to also be up to date is to do 1 Prevnar at age 2. So why does somebody need 4 vaccines when to be accepted into school for being up to date, 1 vaccine at 2? Yeah. The arbitrariness is just really frustrating. So we try to minimize the number. If it comes single, we carry it single, like the polio, the Hib. But we don't do any big combo vaccines here, and that's been in the news a lot as well. Oh, it's huge, yeah. The combos are really big in the news. For parents out there, okay, say a parent confronts their pediatrician or doctor, and they say, hey, you know what? We're not going to service you. Your kid is out. What do they do? Where do they go? Who do they, like, how do they find you where they're at if they're not in the Metroplex?
Oh, like someone like me?
Yeah.
Well, chiropractor offices might be a good place to search. Birthing centers, you know, people work in a community like we are in a community, right, of integrative, like-minded thinkers. So someone in that community is bound to know. But I have people from hours away. They'd rather just come here because they can't find that care from Arkansas to Oklahoma and, you know, Fort Worth and beyond. You know, they come because they want that type of service and they want that kind of choice. And I think it's the parents need to be that true advocate for their kiddos. Because the doctor's offices that are getting wealthy on your child who's chronically ill is absolutely wrong. Not just that, but a lot of times being pushed into doing it too, because there's... And the parent has to live with the consequences. Is, you know, these autistic kids, they're like, I wish I just knew. I had a dad crying in here yesterday, and he said, all I wanted was to be a dad. and he has 2 autistic children. And they were fully vaccinated, and they were never given a choice. And he saw his kid regress after, the 18-month, vaccines. And he's heartbroken, and he found me from, word of mouth. And he said, this is the first time I've actually gotten hope that I can actually get my kid better.
Yeah, well, you've had a lot of success.
I have.
You've had a lot of success in your practice. So
Yeah.
I know this is kind of it's not standard for everybody, but when a parent comes in, they have a highly autistic kid. I know there's quite a few variations on how deep that goes, but from a progress standpoint, like how long? Like when you start seeing them start making progress.
Right. So the younger, the better. So, for example, 18-month-old twins, nonverbal. One was worse than the other. They were too young to actually do testing. I put them on a very inclusive liquid multivitamin, and now they are verbal. They have some sensory issues, but now we're gearing up to, I think they're 2.5 now.
Okay.
We're waiting on them to be able to produce a urine sample so that we can actually fine tune what my recommendations are. But yeah, that's the earlier the better. Now, the 4-year-olds, 4 to 6-year-old range, those are, I see a lot of them. It just seems like when they're up in 10, up teenagers, it's getting a little hard.
Yeah.
And, we have a lot of different modalities. We do detox foot baths here. We do Zytoscans, the nutrient testing. There are a lot of things that we can do, but the younger the better. Can't emphasize that enough.
Yeah. Okay. For any pediatrician, OBGYN, anybody that wants to start going your route, which is they're fed up with the system, they're starting to feel bad about what they're doing, or maybe they're having second thoughts, or it's like, yeah, there's got to be a better way. How do they start making a transition and doing what you did?
Oh, great question. The IFM is amazing. I was the first certified pediatrician through that program, at least that I know of, but they have great resources now. They have a lot online that they do. I'm part of a integrative pediatric psychiatry fellowship program now. It's a big commitment, but there's actually a new pediatrician on there that I'm like, whoo, she's doing that first. That's ambitious, because I think that's an add-on, and it's an intense course. But there are people that are way more interested now than used to be, because they are coming around and getting fed up with the system. So, but there are integrative resources throughout. I just don't know, other than the IFM, and it's probably the biggest one.
Okay. Yeah. So doctors, IFM, check it out. For all the parents out there, anybody else, Christmas is coming up. Be a good book to get. For about time, I'm going to leave that one right there. Screenshot that guy right there. And of course, there's a little bit about Dr. Deborah Bain. She's awesome. I love this woman. Especially with everything you've been doing, because this is, like, I've watched you coming up and up and up the last 5-6 years, and everything you're doing, it's fantastic.
Absolutely.
And the impact, for about the impact that she's making on the future of the entire country is massive, because the kids aren't healthy.
Well, this is our next generation, right?
Yeah, they're going to be running things. The parents, they're going to be taking care of you at some point, and if they can't, well, that's the biggie with autism, especially.
Right. There are not enough facilities
Yeah.
to house the aging autistic children. And that's the scary news. And when I have to transition them out of my practice, and you have to sign those forms, the legal documents of the word of...
It's an 18.
Absolutely. And it's just heartbreaking, especially when I haven't been able to get them well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, right there. Have hope. There's hope. Things are getting better. get magic big black book. Hopefully more doctors will have that thing.
Well, these talk about all the nutrient handouts that are that I pull for every kid, including my cycle of illness. This is one that actually is. This is part of the book.
That is in the book, by the way, people.
And that helps so much frame what has happened to these kids' immune systems and all the things that you could actually do to fix it. So it kind of breaks it all down, and it makes it like so clear to parents. And I've used this for 20 years, and I designed this after I had my labs after I had breast cancer and all the in the back and neck surgery.
Yeah.
Next to a kid who had full-blown autism, next to a kid who had severe head-to-toe eczema and failure to thrive. You cannot tell any of us apart on paper. And that's the scary, but the reality is that the body can only be inflamed, infected, nutrient deficient, or toxic overloaded, period.
Yep.
And if you break that whole thing down and you do the right test, you come up with the right answers. If you do the wrong testing, you don't come up with any answers, right?
Yep.
And so that's how I have been so effective in 20 years. And that's why my insight into this actually had to do with all of that horrific thing that happened. But I wouldn't change it for the world, because I live in this side of that. And I feel like this is my purpose in life, is to educate and do as much as I can to further an integrative medicine approach to all disease states. And, I don't think the specialists are on the right track when all they're doing is looking at their very small lens.
Yes.
And then they're referring to their buddies. And then everybody keeps that kid sick. And I say things in the book. I say, well managed does not mean well. Yeah. And if you think there's only one way to treat something, you're both arrogant and ignorant.
A system of control and power does not like losing its control or power. So we're going to leave it there with the end of the show. Deborah, thanks for coming on. For about there, do great things for yourself every day so you can do great things for other people every day. That's why we are here. See you on the next episode.